Here is the ultimate guide to selling your home. We're going to talk about the entire process from before you list your home to the middle of listing your home to after you list your home, and talk about what you should expect and what you can do to maximize your home's value when you're selling. When you're selling your home, overall, you're looking at about a 2 to 3 month process from doing all of the pre-listing things like decluttering and painting and consulting with a real estate agent to selling and having your home on the market to finally closing. So about 2 to 3 months. Of course, in a buyer's market, this could go a little longer. If you have a home that needs a lot of work, this certainly could be a lot longer, especially in the housing market. At the time of filming this video, we're really a lot more in a buyer's market, and many homes are sitting on the market for a long time. But ideally, if you do a lot of work beforehand and get your home ready to sell, you're looking at a closer to 2 to 3 month period. Before selling your home, one of the first things that you'll want to do is consult with a real estate agent. They can talk about your goals and your timing and how much money you are trying to get for your home. This is certainly one of the most important things. And obviously, if you have a mortgage to pay off and you're unable to pay off that mortgage and net a certain amount of money to make it worth selling the home, then it's probably not a good idea to sell. It really needs to be able to fit your goals and your timeline to make it worth selling your home. And so consulting with a real estate agent about all of these things is certainly going to be the best first step. Among the many things that a real estate agent is going to tell you is going to be things like decluttering the home. The number one rule when you are selling your home, and you're going to hear me say this multiple times in this video, is that you want to appeal to the most amount of people. There is a direct correlation to the amount of people that the home appeals to and the amount of money that you get for the home. Naturally, the less amount of people who see and like the home, the less amount of money you're going to get, and the more amount of people who see and like the home, the more amount of money you're going to get. And so this is the ultimate number one rule when selling your home, is that you want to appeal to the most amount of people. Everything that you do when it comes to selling should be filtered through that lens, making sure that the most amount of people see and like the home. And so one of those things is going to be decluttering, making sure that you're cleaning up the home. And ultimately, this is for pictures, for videos, for marketing the home. And so getting rid of like things on the shelves, or maybe it's things on the walls or whatever. If you have, like my wife, she loves 20 pillows on the couch. That's a little overkill when you're trying to sell your home. Maybe 4 or 5 or 6 pillows on the couch would be a lot better for pictures and a lot better to appeal to the most amount of people. Another big one that goes a long way is just a fresh coat of paint. I know, especially in my house, I've got the kids running around and they are always moving things around or running through the house with their shoes and running their hands on the walls. And so all of these things naturally are going to make the paint kind of seem less nice as you go on through the years. And so a fresh coat of paint goes a long way for appealing to the most amount of people. Of course, you can do major, big renovations for a home, but very often, especially in this market, doing major renovations on a home, those kind of things are not quite as cost effective for getting your return on investment. And so doing a $20 or $30 or $40,000 kitchen renovation on your home is not going to be worth it when you're selling. And so really, we want to talk about things that have the best return on investment. And another one of those, in addition to decluttering and painting, is going to be doing yard work or like minor landscaping, just getting the exterior of the home ready for marketing, for pictures and for videos. That exterior light landscaping really goes a long way. Another one that could go a long way when it comes to return on investment could be flooring. Now, it kind of depends. If you have, 10 or 15-year-old carpet, then certainly new flooring is going to go a long way when it comes to return on investment. It really just kind of depends on the current state of the flooring, but this is one that I have often seen makes a big impact on pictures and videos and a big impact on buyers when they're walking through the home. Once you've done all of these different things to get the home ready, your real estate agent should be coming up with a plan for marketing the home, hiring a photographer, hiring a videographer. Ideally, your real estate agent pays for all of those things. With my clients, when I'm listing somebody's home, I pay for the photographer, the video, all of the marketing. It could be different in different parts of the country, but this should be typically done by the real estate agent. They will pay for the photography, the videography, making a video of the home. This is something that's very big now. When it comes to marketing, real estate videography is a big part of that marketing plan. And so this is something that you want to talk about with your real estate agent, coming up with a plan. Where will they be marketing the home? How much money will they be spending on marketing the home? It's one thing to do internet ads for the home, but if you are putting a lot of money towards internet advertising, obviously that's going to be more effective than only putting a small amount towards internet advertising. Really, how much the real estate agent is spending on ad spend makes the listing go a long way. Now that you have decluttered and painted and done all of these things and you've got a marketing plan, eventually the home will go on the market and you'll have like a launch date for the first day of the home being on the market. A few things that you're going to see right away is that you'll get obviously buyers coming to the home. So this is something that you'll need to be ready for. Ideally, you as the seller shouldn't really be at the home when buyers come through. You want to let these potential buyers feel like they have the freedom to check out the home in their own time, in their own space, and ideally even you want them to imagine themselves living in this home. If you, who are the owner of the home, are there, it's going to be far more difficult for a potential buyer to feel like they are putting themselves in that living situation. Once you have enough potential buyers going through the home, you should be receiving some kind of feedback from buyers. If you haven't already received an offer on the home, some kind of feedback from buyers saying, hey, we liked this or we didn't like this. This really helps with understanding how the listing is going, especially if you're getting negative feedback. While it may be difficult to receive that negative feedback, it is very helpful. For example, if you have maybe numerous potential buyers saying, hey, we didn't like this thing about the exterior of the home, ideally you can make those changes to appeal to more people. Or maybe a buyer says, hey, we didn't like this flooring, maybe we should get, new flooring may go a long way. Then you maybe should be making that change to appeal to more people. Eventually you will receive offers on the home, ideally, and these offers are going to be far more than just the price that the buyer is offering for the home. There are going to be numerous details in an offer, including the price. You'll also have the amount of time that they want for the inspection. You'll also have the amount of time that they want for their financing contingency. This is the amount of time that the buyer is protected in case their financing does not work out. And so they have this contingency to protect themselves. The less amount of time, the better. If you are the seller, you don't want to give the buyer too much time, because all of this time where you have taken the home off the market, as the seller, you don't want these financing contingencies to be too long, because when you accept an offer, you are taking the home off of the market. And so the longer that the buyer is protected for that financing contingency, the longer the home needs to stay off of the market while they figure out their financing. Preferably the buyer is figuring out this financing much faster. The faster the better, so that you are shortening that risk time. The amount of days that the home is on the market, you want that to be as little as possible. So in addition to the purchase price, the amount of days for the financing contingency is also a big important factor when it comes to that offer. The same goes for the appraisal contingency days. You want those to be as short as possible. And then ideally, you also want the closing to be as short as possible. Unless, of course, you need time to buy your next home. Maybe you need more time for that. And so the closing date being pushed back could work out in your favor. But obviously, if you're paying a mortgage and you want to be able to sell that home as quickly as possible, the less amount of time until closing, the better. At the time of filming this video, we're really seeing a lot of sellers and very few buyers. And so we're seeing a lot of homes having price adjustments. This is kind of becoming the norm when it comes to selling selling your home, you obviously don't want to list your home at a certain price and you have like under listed or undervalued the home. So it's much better to err on the side of overpricing the home by a bit and kind of work your way down. And so adjusting that price is pretty normal. I often suggest something about every 30 days you want to have a price adjustment. And so you should certainly be ready. When you list your home, you might want to have that plan ready in place in case you get to 30 days with no offers on the home, being ready to adjust the price of the home. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you are scheduling the closing. And so the buyer has done their inspection and they've done their financing and their appraisal and they're ready to go, ready to close, and you have a closing date. At that closing appointment, should be at an attorney's office or an escrow or title office, you're going to have your current mortgage paid off. And so all of the funds from the buyer and their lender, they will go to contribute towards paying off your mortgage. The closing attorney or the title company will take care of that for you. And then also on that same day, you should be receiving the surplus funds from the sale of your home. Very often, these closing attorneys or title companies can wire that money into your bank account. You can probably also get a check for that. I think wiring is a lot more common and safer. And so all of that is gonna happen on the same day, on the closing day. Some things to remember: you also wanna make sure you are forwarding your mail so that any kind of future mail that's coming to your home is going to the new address. And then you also need to be moved out by the closing day. Like typically, unless there is something different in your purchase contract, the closing day is also the day that the new buyer takes possession of the home. And so you want to make sure you are completely moved out. You obviously can hire movers. This is one common way. There's also pods. This is a common thing that people do where they get the pod and the pod is dropped off on their driveway and they load everything into the pod, and then the pod company moves that pod to the new location or to a self-storage facility. Or you can hire a moving company that will do all of the moving for you. This is another option. I think it's kind of the most expensive of all of the options. My preferred way, and I think the way that is the most cost effective when it comes to moving, is to rent like a moving truck and then hire a moving company to load the truck. And then you drive the truck yourself to the new location and hire a separate moving company there to unload the truck. So certainly lots of options when it comes to moving. Just keep in mind that all of that obviously needs to be done by the closing day. I hope this video has been helpful. Thanks for watching.